ways, your year with the Dream Team and with the certification in the minds of most now as the greatest to ever play the game. A final thought on what this means to you and your team.
Well, I think it means a lot to us. I mean, because we make history. Very few teams have done this. You know, especially when so much parity in the league right now. This is a major accomplishment for the franchise and for the team. And, you know, for me personally, you know, I think it was something that I was looking forward to separate myself from Magic and Bird. They never did it, and I did it. So that makes me, you know, feel special, I believe it.
Congratulations.
Oh boy. Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. There you have it. The media said that Michael Jordan, after his three-peat, was the greatest of all time. And LeBron, after he won his third championship, he said he was the greatest of all time for beating the greatest team ever assembled. Wow. So this is what we're going to talk about. Michael Jordan's first three championships versus LeBron's first three championships. In the first video, what did we hear? We heard that when the media asked Michael Jordan, well, when they told him that everybody agrees that this three-peat made him the greatest player of all time, he kind of deferred and gave all his teammates the credit. And then he talked about parity in the league. And because he was able to win this three-peat, that he was looking for something to separate himself from Magic and Bird. And this three-peat to him, that's what gave it to him. He did not say he was the greatest of all time. What did he say? It just made him special. Right? It just made him special. And when he talked about parity, he was talking about it was so much parity in the league, meaning it wasn't 3 to 5 Hall of Famers on one team against one Hall of Famer and stuff like that. So Michael Jordan, you know, and a lot of people beat up Michael Jordan for what? For being hard on his teammates. And we talked about this before. The LeBron fans, they do not understand what it takes for greatness to happen. Michael Jordan was always putting up the stats and doing his thing. He just needed his teammates to come along with him for the ride. You know, and like I said before, it's like, you know, you being hard on your children, and then at the end of the tunnel, you see them graduate, you see them do good things with their life, have a house, have a car, and be successful. And they look back at those things and they say, now I see why they were being hard on me, because they wanted good things to happen for me. And that's why Michael Jordan was hard on his teammates, because Michael Jordan was always doing his damnness, working hard in practice, evolving his game, and wanted to beat the greatest of all time. And he just needed his teammates to come along and do their thing. And that's why every time he won a championship and they try to, you know, put it on him, what would he do? He would give all the credit to his teammates, because he knew his teammates went out there and gave it their best. They worked hard in practice, and he couldn't do this without them. He just needed them to come along while he led the way. That's it. So when you look at the three-peat, the first three-peat or the second three-peat, his teammates will go down as the greatest of all time in some type of way. They can always show their kids or tell their kids these stories of how they did a three-peat, how, they were winning 60 games in the season, how, maybe in one season they never lost 3 games in a row. Now for LeBron James, and we'll get back to Michael Jordan in a minute. We can talk about this right now, matter of fact. We're on it. So, like I said in past videos, Michael Jordan had to stop 2 dynasties, right? In one season, and he needed his teammates. The Detroit Pistons was about to do a three-peat. He stopped them, swept them. And the Lakers in 91 also was about to have another dynasty, right? They won in 87, 88, and they was back in the finals in 91. They predicted Portland was going to be in there, but the Lakers won, and they even predicted the Lakers would just stomp out the Bulls. So the Lakers were back in the finals, and if they won, that would have been 3 and 5 years, another dynasty for Magic Johnson, who probably would have went down as a top, maybe 2 player instead of a top 5 player of all time. So Michael Jordan had a lot on his shoulders, and his teammates showed up because he showed up, right? Michael Jordan's first 3 finals were, to me, the greatest 3 finals of all time when you look at his averages. We'll go over that in a minute. We're not supposed to really talk about that, right? That Michael stopped 2 dynasties in back-to-back series in the same season that he won his first championship. So we go on to the LeBron nonsense, right? The media didn't say he was the greatest of all time. He won that championship in 2016, which pushed him to what? 3 and 4 in the finals, right? 2 of those finals, he shot under 40%. 2 of those finals, in my opinion, 07 and 11, he melted down. And he claims, and 4 of those finals were blowout losses. He claims he beat the greatest team ever assembled. And on that team, most people consider it, not one top 5, the top 10 player of all time was on that team. They had only won 1 championship. And it took LeBron 13 seasons just to win his 3rd championship, whereas Michael Jordan, not only 3 in a row, but it only took him 9 seasons to win 3 championships. So let's look at what LeBron is talking about. He beat the greatest team of ever assembled. When we look at, their accolades coming into that 2016 finals, we have Curry, 1 championship, 2 MVPs back-to-back, which is incredible because in Michael Jordan's prime, no player won back-to-back MVPs. He was I want to say, 4-time All-Star. He was first team All-NBA 2 times, second team 1 time, and he wasn't even Rookie of the Year. And I think he won a 3-point contest, and he was a scoring champion and a steals leader. When you look at Klay, he won 1 championship, 2 All-Star appearances, and was second team All-NBA. No, third team All-NBA. No defensive teams. We go on to Draymond Green. Draymond Green, 1-time champion and 1-time All-Star. And he was All-NBA second team and I think 2-time first team defensive. Now, we can say clearly when we look at the 91 Lakers with Worthy, Magic Johnson, Byron Scott, and AC Green, these guys had a slew of accolades, okay? Way more than what this Golden State team, the greatest team ever assembled. How were they assembled when they came through the draft? And if you want to be serious, I can say that the 92 Portland team had just as many accolades as that Warriors team that Jordan played in the 92 finals. Now, when we get to the Phoenix Suns, they had a slew of accolades from Tom Chambers to Kevin Johnson to Charles Barkley, just drowning away the Golden State Warriors as far as accolades. So let's look at this. We'll just look at before joining LeBron, Kyrie and Kevin Love, their accolades. Well, for one, they were other teams' number one franchise players. Kyrie was a number one draft pick, and you had, let me see, he was a two-time All-Star, and I think he ended up being a three-time All-Star by 2016. All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year, three-point contest winner. You had Kevin Love. I think by time then he was a four-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA, Most Improved Player, Rebound Leader, three-point contest winner, and we include LeBron James with all his accolades, all his accolades. Not to mention, for Kyrie and Love, they had already been to the finals one time in 15. And if we include all of LeBron's accolades, this was his seventh finals. And we don't need to go through all of his accolades, right? He was a number one franchise player of Cleveland. I'm not even going to go through the rest of his accolades. But just those three, Kyrie, LeBron, and Love, all number one franchise players of another team. And their accolades drowned out the accolades of Golden State up to that point. So again, how was that team the greatest team ever assembled? Clearly, that Cavs team was better as far as talent and accolades than the Golden State Warriors at that point. Okay, let's not forget LeBron took a 2-1 lead going back home without Kyrie, where he melted down like ice cream, right? For the series, ended up shooting under 40%, like 38% from the field, 20-something percent from three, 60-something percent from the line, 5 turnovers a game. Got shut down by a role player, Iguodala, that won the Finals MVP. So what are we talking about? How can the greatest team of all time, greatest team ever assembled, not even win back-to-back championships at that time, like Jordan's team, won a three-peat? Yes, they had the best record in the regular season of all time, but that doesn't make them the greatest team of all time. Okay? This is a lack of leadership for LeBron James. And so let's look at what we see on the screen. So we got to go by this. First 3 championships, right? For Jordan, that would be, we're going to look at from when he came in the league all the way until he won his 3rd championship. For LeBron, it would go from 2003 all the way up to 2016, which would be 13 years. Let's look at what Michael Jordan had done leading up to those 3 championships in the regular season. In the regular season, points per game, 32.3. Rebounds, 6.3. Assists, 5.9, basically 6. Steals, 2.7. Blocks, 1. Turnovers, 3. Field goal percentage, 51.6. 3-point percentage, 30.1. Free throw percentage, 84.6. In the playoffs, those first 9 seasons, 34.7 points per game. Rebounds, 6.7. Assists, 6.6. Steals, 2.3. Blocks, 1. Turnovers, 3.3. Field goal percentage, 50.1. It's incredible. 3-point percentage, 35.2. And the free throw percentage, 83.4. In the NBA Finals, in the three-peat, 36 points per game. Rebounds, 6.6. Assists, 8. Steals, 2. Blocks, 0.8. Turnovers, 3.4. Field goal percentage, 52.8. 3-point percentage, 44.3. Free throw percentage, 81.1. 3 championships, 3 finals MVPs, 10 scoring titles, Defensive Player of the Year, 3 MVPs, 3 steals titles, Rookie of the Year, and All-Star MVP. LeBron, when he won his 3rd championship, his career numbers were in the regular season 27.2 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 6.9 assists, we can say 7 if you want to, steals 1.7, blocks 0.8, turnovers 3.4, field goal percentage 49.8, 3-point percentage, 34. Free throw percentage, 74.4. In the playoffs, taking to the next level with 1 point, right? 28.9 points per game. Rebounds, 8.9. Assists, 7.1. Steals, 1.8. Blocks, 1. Turnovers, 3.6. It looks like. Field goal percentage, 49.1. 3-point percentage, 32.3. Free throw percentage, 74.3. In those 7 NBA finals, because that's what he had. He was 7 NBA finals, took him to win 3 championships. This is what he averaged. He goes down. Doesn't take his game to the next level. 26.7 points per game, 9.6 rebounds, 7.1 assists, 1.7 steals, 0.7 blocks. Turnovers, 3.4. Field goal percentage, 45.8. 3-point percentage, 32.3. And free throw percentage, 73%. And when we look at it, 3 championships, 3 finals MVPs, 4 MVPs, 3 all-star MVPs, rookie of the year, and 1 scoring title. Let's look at this. His field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage in the NBA finals. Those NBA finals, 7 of them. Field goal percentage, 45.8%. 3-point percentage, 32.3%. Free throw percentage, 73%. Wow. And when we talk about earlier, Michael Jordan was already doing his thing. He just needed his teammates to do their thing while he leads them. And that's what they did for LeBron James. How can his teammates do their thing if LeBron James isn't doing his thing in the finals? And this was the theme, right? All of his career in the NBA finals, the other team was better than his team, even though he went around and played with other teams' number 1 franchise players. Handpicked other teams' number 1 franchise players. And many times when he left, he went and got the new up-and-coming number 1 franchise players from other teams. In many cases, these other teams' number 1 franchise players, what were they? Top 5 to top 10 players in the league at the time. This is the same guy that would show up to games, coming out of the tunnel, dancing, laughing, having fun, doing this when the game starts, right before the game starts, doing it at halftime when he's blowing his opponents off the floor, doing it at the end of the game when he's blowing his opponents off the floor, showing poor sportsmanship, showing bad leadership, and no respect for the game. I ask you right now, could you imagine Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Bill Russell, or any of these guys doing this to their opponents? And then when they lose, walk off the floor and not even shake hands. Going to build super teams and taunt them. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Losing with his super teams and then leaving his super teams again and again. Sometimes you can't even make this up because it's true. So to me, like I tell people, the NBA was over in 2010. And when LeBron went to Miami, it became a big soap opera. He was no longer about winning. The league was no longer a real league. He was just going around to build super teams. And if he won, he won. But it was just more about going to a franchise and making that franchise a whole bunch of money, making himself a whole bunch of money. That's what it was about. And when Clutch Sports rose to prominence in 2012, they would start to repair his career, his past career for all the meltdowns, choke jobs, and cover up anything that would happen in the future from 2012, and the NBA would be along for the ride. Because we all know players that did it right. Kobe, Jordan, Russell, Magic, Bird, Tim Duncan, and even other guys did it right. They went through the grind, like sports and fitness rants like to say. They stood in there and went through the grind with their teams. They didn't run around and build super teams. And if you think that the 96 Bulls, 97 and 98 was a super team, okay. Let's say it was a super team. Well, they did what they were supposed to do, right? Win and beat their opponents. Because we remember in most of these games, if we go to 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, 98, all those NBA finals, 99% of every game for the Bulls came down to the fourth quarter. And not only Michael Jordan hitting buzzer beater shots and go ahead shots, but him hitting all kind of clutch shots in the fourth quarter to keep his team in the game. Why? Because what he talked about before, it was so much parity in the league. And when he talked about he was looking for something to separate himself from Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, not only the three-peat, but when he talked about parity, he was winning his championships with limited help. The first three-peat. Pippen, who only made 2 All-Star appearances and came out of the draft. Go see what Bird had. Go see what Russell had with his 12 Hall of Famers. Go see what Magic had. Go see what LeBron had. And if we even look back at, go see what Shaq had. Even when he went to Miami, what was that team? That was a super team. Let's don't forget. You had Wade. You had Shaq. You had Mourning. You had Gary Payton on that team. The big three Boston Celtics in 08. All these guys were making all-star teams, all NBA. Who was making that in a second three-peat? Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, not Dennis Rodman. He didn't make no all-NBAs. Great defensive player, great rebounder. Cool coach, didn't make one all-star team in his entire career in the NBA. And they shut the league down with their defense. That's what they did. Ron Harper, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. These guys came out the 80s. So they knew it was defense that won championships. They was focused more on defense than anything. Ask yourself, how many championships is LeBron going to win in a league that's scoring less than 100 points per game? Meaning he's going to have to shut teams down with his defense. So however you cut it, if Michael Jordan was ever the favorite, which he never was until in the playoffs or the finals until 1991, he did what he was supposed to do. That Warriors team was not the greatest team ever assembled, and LeBron didn't do what he was supposed to do. Now, I give you 17. And I keep getting confused about the 16 and 17 because one minute they'll say that the 16 Warriors is the greatest team of all time. And I say to that, like I always say, what do we say in football? Do we say the Patriots is the greatest team of all time? Nope. We still say the Dolphins is the greatest team of all time because the Dolphins won the championship and the Patriots didn't. So to me, that Golden State team is not the greatest team of all time. Especially when you look at, again, their accolades. They had baby accolades at the time compared to that Cleveland team, who had a slew of accolades. So in the same breath, after saying that to help LeBron out, saying that the Warriors was the greatest team of all time, they'll then switch and say, and try to put that 17 Warriors team against the 96 Bulls. Why? I thought you just said the Warriors were the greatest team of all time. So why aren't you putting the 16 Warriors against the 96 Bulls? You see how they do it? That's how they do it. That's how they do it. Anything to help LeBron out. The Bulls ain't the greatest team of all time, but the greatest team of all time doesn't have to play the Bulls. The 96 Bulls. The 96 Bulls has to play the 17 Warriors, who didn't get the greatest record of all time, the best record of all time in a regular season. Why not? Look, the thing about LeBron, he's so dishonest. Michael Jordan was always honest. Never called himself the greatest of all time. Never gave himself the credit for winning. Never put it on his team to come through unless it was an official play coming out of the timeout. Always looked to hit the clutch shot throughout the games or at the end of the games. Never melted down. And his game was sharp as a knife. There's nothing you could do to him. You want to say he can't shoot the three? He's burying threes. You try to stop him from driving, he's going to destroy you at the mid-range, hitting just incredible shots every which way. Off balance, pump fakes, up and unders, everything. Oh, you ball hog? Okay. I average 11 assists in the game. On Magic Johnson. Wasn't missing clutch free throws. Held his team accountable. Didn't run and get other teams' number one franchise players. I did a video on this. Michael Jordan was always looking to separate himself. In the NBA Finals, I seen this. Oh, my God. I forget where I seen this. I'm going to say sorry right now. Oh, my goodness. Maybe I'll remember his name in a minute. But he put this up. The Bulls have the best win percentage in the finals. Not only because they're undefeated, but they have the best win percentage of all time. Never lost 3 games in a row in the 90s. 160 or more games 5 times. Was it? I thought I saw something they never lost a home game, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to that. But not only was Michael Jordan always trying to separate himself individually, he was trying to make sure his teams did it against other teams, three-peats, things of that nature. Never seen a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. And why? Because in those Game 6s, Mike and his team was always coming through in the clutch. It was a no-nonsense approach. If you want to be the best or one of the best of all time, and you want your team to be the best or one of the best teams of all time, it's a no-nonsense approach. And it starts with the coach, then it starts with the star player, and then the coach, the organization, your team. You can't be showing up your opponents, dancing all on the court, acting like you're taking pictures, more interested in social media, jumping team to team, trading your teammates, blaming your teammates when you melt down, blaming your teammates if they don't come through, blaming your coaches, always looking for an outlet. Either you're great or you're not. Either you're great and you make your teammates great, or you don't. There was no excuses back in the day. You lost, you shook hands, you got back to the chalkboard, you got back to practice, and you went out there and played. You worked on fundamentals. Everything wasn't based off of athleticism. Like in the LeBron era, you played defense. You have positional skills. These are the things that makes you one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time, and you being on one of the greatest teams or the greatest team of all time. That's just how it is. And one day we'll get back to real NBA basketball. LeBron played in a shooter's era, right? Jordan played in a big man era, especially in the 90s. When he retired, who started winning again? Big man. When he came back, he started winning again. When he retired, who started winning again? Big man. What was the most dominant conference in the 90s? It was the West. Michael Jordan stopped the West. When Michael Jordan retired the first time, it was the West that was winning back to back. When he retired the second time, who was it? The West railed off 4 straight. The East had his chance. Each time he retired and couldn't do it. But when Michael Jordan was on the floor, the East won. So just another video for the LeBron fans who want to look past this guy's history. 13 seasons it took for him to win 3 championships, and Michael Jordan 9 seasons, 3 in a row. 7 season, 8 season, 9th season. Then came back and won 3 in a row with basically a different team. A team that he didn't pick, really, because a lot of them was already there. Tell me what you think.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
For
That's
so
what
many
I felt.
reasons.
I was super, super ecstatic to win one for Cleveland because of the 52-year drought. Like, I was ecstatic. Like, obviously, I showed that the first wave of emotion was when everyone saw me crying. Like, that was all for 52 years. Everything in sports was going on in Cleveland. And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time. You know, everybody was just talking how they were the greatest team of all time. Like, they was the greatest team ever assembled. And for us to come back, you know, the way we came back in that fashion, I was like, you did something special. That's like one of the only times in my career I felt like, oh shit, like you did something special. I haven't really had time to really like sit back and think, but that was a moment.
Crazy.